Network Entertainment.
Who's ready for story time?
What's going on? This is Xavier Woods, aka Austin Creed.
Let me talk to you.
Hello, WWE Universe in the Philippines. This is Charlotte.
Hey everyone, this is Jeff Cobb.
I have to finish the story.
We are pretty deadly. Yes, boy. Yes, boy.
Run!
Bang! The sniper is shooting you down. This is TMDK's Robbie Eagles.
Hey, this is the Cosmic Cactus, Paul London.
Hello, my name is Ilya Dragunov, the Czar, the NXT champion, and you're listening to...
And you're listening to...
And you're listening...
And you are listening...
And you're listening
to the Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
The Wrestling Podcast.
To the Wrestling Podcast. Yeah.
Watching and listening to the longest running weekly episodic Filipino wrestling podcast. This is the Wrestling Podcast. Hey, Stancy, Emile natin checking in on the last day of November 2023. Ang dami na naman natin pag-uusapan just coming off of that weekend. If you thought the Picks of the Week episode was enough to dissect and discuss and process all of our feelings with that big CM Punk return, well, it is not, obviously, kasi nandito kami and we're here to break stuff down for you. But first, how are you, Emile?
I am doing great again. It's been a sobrang bilis ng week. You know, I've been in Manila for about few days and hindi man ako magtatagal dito. So after Sunday, I'll go back home. So it's been a fast week. A lot of things have happened and a lot of things for us to talk about here tonight.
Yeah, sana lahat, sana all can make friends and make money. Because unfortunately, for a lot of us, you can only make one of them.
Yeah, but that's my goal. Always to, you know, if I can cover all sides, then I'm good.
Let's say hi to Byron Russell.
Hey.
Not to be confused with Brian Russell of the 90s Utah Jazz. What's up, Byron Russell Olea? Thank you for joining us, man. Magandang gabi. Like I said, ang dami natin pag-uusapan, no? We got to start by thanking everybody who has put the Wrestling Podcast on your Spotify Wrapped. So, ni-release ni Spotify yesterday, di ba, yung IG stories and the portal that leads you to your Spotify stats for the year. So, ang dami na naman, as always, ang nagpo-post or nagsasend ng DM na, the Wrestling Podcast is part of your Spotify Wrapped. So, if we are a part of your Spotify algorithm for the year, please post it on your stories or post it anywhere you'd like. And please make sure you tag us kasi sobrang malaking bagay para sa amin to let people know na, hey, people actually listen. They spend a good chunk of their time checking out the pod and listening to yung mga takes namin on wrestling, on this sport that we all love very, very much. So hit us up, all right? It's at Wrestling2XPod on Twitter and on TikTok. And then on Instagram, if you post your stories, pati na rin on Facebook, it is at Wrestling Podcast. Ikaw ba, Emile, what is number one on your most listened to na songs?
Actually, I hate that this is, again, kasi last year, number one na to. But apparently, my number one song this year is the theme song of Roman Reigns. For some reason. Like, I don't know. Kasi, again, this year, di ko masyado nagamit yung Spotify ko, but that's the number one song I had. So, I guess I acknowledge my tribal chief.
That makes you a weirdo. Kasi my top listened to song is or my top listened to na artist is Post Malone, and my top listened to song is a song by Kiana Lede. So it is non-wrestling at all. It is my favorite song. Yeah, it's called X. It's my favorite song na paggabi. I put on my R&B playlist and I just vibe to it on the way home. Sa mga podcasts, unlike Rowan, ASH, the Wrestling Podcast is not in my top 5. That's because I listen to the stuff before it goes up. So, ikaw ba, Emile? Are we in your top 5?
Actually, I will explain some context here kasi after every episode, I listen back and review some of the things that I did. Maybe if I, stumbled upon a word or a phrase, so I always go back and listen. But yung mga ibang podcast kasi, pinapakinggan ko na siya on the Apple app itself. But for some reason, for our podcast, I do it also my number one is our
Mhm.
podcast. And I made a joke when I posted the story. I said I'm such a self-mark, which I'm not. It just so happens that I always go back and review our shows after every recording, after it being uploaded sa Spotify feeds natin. So,
Sino
but
namang Sino namang secretary ng DOH? Pwede bang gawing ambassador si Emile? Kasi ang galing mag-washing hands eh.
no, washing hands. Just explaining some context to some people.
Hand washing. What's up to Andre Benedict Fabia?
Hey, what's up?
Thanks for joining
What's
us,
up,
man.
bro?
And thank you to everyone who's putting in your top artists in the comments. So yeah, yes, Taylor Swift is also in my top 5.
Yeah,
so no
same.
surprises there. Lahat
Yeah,
naman siguro
Taylor
tayo ay hindi makatakas sa Taylor Swift, Taylor Mania.
Definitely.
All right. Let's get to some business here. We are about to end the year, which means yung mga orders natin for our Black Friday pasabay, they're actually on their way to the Philippines. So that's great. And we want to thank everyone who's been part of the Black Friday pasabay run. In fact, people are clamoring for CM Punk shirts. And medyo wala na kaming time actually to punch in those orders. So our friends at Everybody's Toys and Collectibles, yes, this is a CM Punk reference. Our friends at Everybody's Toys and Collectibles are actually rounding up orders. So yun, magbabatch orders sila. So go ahead and hit them up. It's facebook.com/everybody's toys. Tell them we sent you. Kasi hilaan naman tayo pataas and hopefully we all make money, di ba? So go get your CM Punk shirts from them. But you know, the Black Friday pasabay run, a great experience for our patrons kasi medyo nakatipid sila on the service fees that they're gonna pay for. And that's one of the many benefits of being a wrestling podcast patron.
All right, so again, like Stan said, if you join in on our Patreon program, you get some special rates on the service fees. And there's still, marami pang benefits. So if you join our Patreon, it's patreon.com/wrestling podcast right there below. Ayan. It's been a while since nakita ko yan. No? So it's only $5 to 260 to 270 pesos locally. Aside from that, you'll get to join in on our Discord server, Discord community, where you can interact with us, interact with your fellow podcast, and talk to us about anything. And we also host some watch parties there, online watch parties for the PLEs or pay-per-views. So kung walang on-location viewing party, we always hold it on our Discord. You also get some sweet reviews of the weekly wrestling shows courtesy of Raw and Rowan, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, Dynamite, some local wrestling happenings as well. And again, by subscribing sa aming Patreon, you're pretty much supporting everything that we do here on the pod. So again, it's at patreon.com/wrestling podcast for as low as $5.
Ito, may mga nagtatanong after ni-release ng WWE yung supercut of the international announcers losing our collective shit over the CM Punk return. Saan ba nakakapanood ng Tagalog commentary? Ang sagot, sa Wrestling Podcast watch parties. Problema kasi pag may live watch party, inaalok, ayaw nyo naman pakinggan, di ba? So yung mga nagsasabi na, wow, first time ko marinig yung utang na loob. I've been saying that for the last 2 years. Right? It has become one of my go-to things that I yell out whenever there is a holy sugar honey iced tea moment. So, yun. But nonetheless, thank you sa mga nag-comment ng support, nag-show love on the WWE social media. Thank you as well to the WWE social media team for realizing na, nga naman, this would make for some great content. So, it was pretty good. Bakit, Bruce? Kasalanan mo ba? Ikaw bang nagsabi na ayaw mo ng Tagalog commentary? Ikaw ba? Sige, para di na tayo magalit. Batiin natin si Adore. Is it Adore or Adore?
That's Ali. That's Ali. Hello.
Hello, Ali. Hello, Ali.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us here on the live stream. Si JK nagbabalik din. Thank you for making time for us despite your busy schedule at school. All right, let's bring on the CM Punk references and the conversations. We've got some updates on the CM Punk return, which is still very much surreal to everybody. So in the days since nagpakita muli si CM Punk sa WWE, sabi ko nga, di ba, nagpakita siya. We found out a couple of things na nakalap ng mga reporters and dirt sheets. So sabi ng Fightful Select na there was a disciplinary committee in AEW and that Bryan Danielson was actually the one who led this disciplinary committee that made the decision to fire CM Punk from AEW. Doon natin simulan kasi Emile, sabi mo na yung wrestling Twitter nagwala nung nalaman nila yung involvement ni Brian doon.
Ito kasi ang theory ko lang kasi, akala nila Brian is the one who made that decision to kick CM Punk out from AEW. Pero some people are taking this out of context. It's just Brian is heading this disciplinary committee nga eh. So it's not just Brian himself. It's not just Brian making all the decisions. It's a committee. So it's literally a group decision. It just so happens that Brian is included dun sa committee na yon. So syempre he's the famous name. So the headlines are gonna make it out to be as Brian Danielson is one of the people who ultimately kicked CM Punk out of AEW. So dun medyo nagkalituhan lang dun. Some people took it out of
Huwag natin
context.
sabihin na yung media rin nagfi-fake news kasi hindi naman natin alam kung ano yung susulat ng lahat ng mga headlines, diba? It's more of people taking it out of context because they immediately assume na Brian Danielson led the committee that made the decision. Therefore, iniisip nila, Brian made the decision, which is not one and the same.
Yes,
diba?
so
Magkaiba yun.
yes, it's two different things. So let's just klaruhin lang natin yun. Brian is a part of that committee. He was not the one who made that decision by himself. So it's a collective decision on AEW. Saka at that point din naman, like parang feeling ko wala na din silang choice because they kept giving him second chances and he keeps messing up. He keeps fucking up his chances. That's why it's more of like for the better for the welfare of the locker room, for the welfare of the company, it would be better if Punk and AEW both go their separate ways.
May punto rin tong si Carlo Elijah sa comments kasi totoo naman, di ba, yung may-ari, yung pinaka-boss, siya pa rin yung may final decision. At kung anong sinabi ng may-ari, yun talaga yung masusunod, di ba? So, ultimately, si TK pa rin naman yung gumawa ng final decision. So, may committee, may leader sila, si Brian yun, and then, ultimately, ang gumawa ng final decision, di may-ari, di ba? Another update that we got from Fightful Select, hindi pa to nako-confirm ha, pero ang sinasabi ng ibang sources nila is that some people in WWE nasabihan daw ng higher-ups na may behavior clause daw na associated with CM Punk's contract. Okay, what do you think about this one? Kasi behavior clauses do exist in some work arrangements, di ba? It's no different from kunwari yung mga incentive bonuses ng NBA players na eligible ka for the Supermax kapag nag-all NBA team ka for 2 years. That type of stuff. So in this case, behavior clause, something along the lines of pag hindi ka gumawa ng gulo, hindi ka masisisante.
Yeah, I'm okay with it kasi again, this guy had history of backstage brouhahas. So it's parang ano lang yun. This is an insurance kasi investment din nila to eh. They're investing their money, they're investing their time on someone who had history. So it's insurance yun eh. Insurance on their part na once this guy messes up, he's gone.
Mm-hmm. Okay, mayroon pang additional balita from PW Torch. Sinasabi rin nila na may source sila that says that about half the wrestlers are iffy on whether or not CM Punk has actually changed. So ito related to dun sa behavior clause na pinag-usapan natin just now. Na sinasabi ni Neil in the comments na it's a thing din naman in corporate, diba? Ako honestly, Neil, I wouldn't know kasi matagal na ako di nagtatrabaho sa corporate. So Emile, baka may insight ka dito.
No, it's been a long time as well since I was in the corporate world. So I really wouldn't know. Pero I would not be surprised if that's a thing talaga, no?
Mm-hmm. What do you think about yung inad ng PW Torch na report na baka raw merong mga wrestlers may talent na medyo iffy on Punk, whether he's changed and all of that?
I mean, I can't really blame them kasi yun na nga, the guy had history and it's again, like I said before, if he were to join WWE, it would be too soon kasi hindi pa nakatagal ever since that incident which led him to being fired. So I can't blame these people for thinking na they're still on the edge whether or not this guy has really changed or not. Pero importante naman dito whether or not he's changed, if he's behaving appropriately in the workplace, walang magiging problema.
Actually, yung debut ni Punk nung Survivor Series, 3 months, diba? Right after All In. So, literally, nag 3-month rule sila para maging masaya si Popoy. Baka magalit si Popoy, diba? Siya yung advocate ng 3-month rule eh. Pero yun, basically, it's fresh, diba? It just happened.
Yep,
and yes, to add to yung comment ni Neil, I looked it up. Yeah, behavior clauses do exist sa mga contracts, diba? Kasi you want to foster a good working environment for people. So yung good behavior for some companies, talagang sinistipulate nila sa mga contract nila na kailangan hindi ka gagawa ng gulo, diba? Ano ba naman yung ano ba naman yung papasok ka at magtatrabaho ka and you contribute to a good working environment for everybody, and that includes yourself. So, yan. Okay. Let's talk about the return promo from CM Punk. Ito, babyface producer Jasper, let's bring that slide. Ito, ang daming comments ng mga tao na parang hindi raw siya as impactful as yung promo ni Punk nung The First Dance. Merong mga tao nagsasabi na, medyo hindi ako believe dyan. Merong mga nagsasabi na, it's not what I expected. It wasn't a pipe bomb. Ikaw, Emile, what do you think? Do you buy the return promo? And I know you already gave your initial thoughts nung Picks of the Week episode natin. So if you haven't checked it out, go listen to that. Pero I think we've had a couple of days para i-process further patong return promo ni Punk.
Yeah, like I said nung Picks of the Week, I didn't feel like it was as genuine as he was making out to be. And I get it, kasi considering all the things he has said before regarding WWE and the things and how things are working behind the scenes, parang when he says that he's home, this is where he belongs, and then contrary to if a lot of you don't know, this week is the 9th year anniversary of that Colt Cabana podcast. So we pointed it out in Picks of the Week. So the things he said there, it's not making sense with what he said in promo. But on the other side of it, I understand that he played it safe in his first promo back. Kasi he has a shorter leash. Some people were expecting him to take shots at AEW, to take shots at TK, to take shots at the Elite. But ang totoo dito, he really can't do that kasi baka there was an agreement on both sides before they went on their separate ways. Kaya I think there wasn't any lawsuits that were filed kasi both sides agreed upon they were not going to talk bad about each other. So in a way, this is the safest way he could go in his first promo. And so I understand that there was so many expectations from people in his first promo kasi that's what they expected of CM Punk. CM Punk is, siya yung walang filters when he speaks, diba? So I think nanibago lang yung iba na this is how he went on his first promo back in WWE.
Itong si Carlo Elijah, sinasabi niya na parang binubura ng WWE yung past 2 years ni Punk by not addressing where he came from. All right, let me just ask the audience, whether or not nanonood ka ng AEW, I'm sure alam mo naman, di ba, kung nasan si Punk over the last couple of years. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, I don't think, tama, may point nga na WWE will probably not say or not address yung competition kasi it's kind of like promoting the competition, diba? It's the reason why hindi namin sinabi yung letters na AEW nung nag-debut si Cody or nung nag-debut si Jade Cargill. But without saying it, the mere fact na you see these people on TV, kilala mo sila, alam mo more than likely kung saan sila nanggaling, diba? Otherwise, ba't mo sila kilala? Ba't mo alam na big deal sila? Diba?
Yep. Yes. Like parang we are too concerned with how casuals watch WWE na like kilala mo, you know what happened with CM Punk, right? That's why you're excited. That's why you're feeling a certain type of way with his return kasi you know what happened to him, right? So parang there's no need to address it on air anymore.
Yeah. May point din si babyface producer Jasper na it's been like that ever since, diba? Not mentioning specifically kung saan sila nanggaling. Like when Christian came back noong 2009, it's not like sinabi niya sa promo niya na, nanggaling ako sa Impact. Nag-New Japan din pala ako. Diba? Hindi siya ginagawa talaga. Diba?
Yep.
So, wag na tayo magulat na hindi rin siya ginawa ngayon. Okay, babyface producer Jasper, actually, we were thinking of putting him on kanina. Do you still want to talk about your reactions dito sa return promo ni Punk?
Hello.
Hey Jasper, what's up?
Emile pretty much said what I was supposed to say, but yun nga, it's very contradicting if you're gonna compare it. Parang there's one post that I found on Facebook when he returns to AEW is like yung mood niya is very different compared sa promo niya now kasi when he went back to when he went back to wrestling in AEW, it was out of love, and right now you feel like it's out of spite na, and it's and
how does that make you feel?
It's weird. It makes me feel weird. I'm glad he's back, but I really wish it was Kenta. Yun lang opinion ko.
Nananahimik si Kenta, binigyan mo pa ng singaw.
Wala.
No, it's actually interesting that he brought up that point where he joined WWE because of spite. And there might be a little bit of truth to it. Like, hindi natin kilala si Punk, hindi natin alam kung ano talaga yung tumatakbo sa utak niya. But he swore years ago that he was never, ever, ever gonna come back to WWE. Yep. And because sobrang bitter of nung nangyari sa kanya sa AEW and I feel like he's still looking for that one final run where he feels like he's the top guy. There's no place else for him to be to achieve that than in WWE. Kaya parang in a way, okay, this is my final chance. Wala na siyang choice. There's no other place for him to go other than WWE. That's why parang yun na nga sinasabi ko, it wasn't as genuine as it felt like in his previous comebacks like in AEW or when he returned to WWE nung after he left nung Money in the Bank 2011. So yun, so that's basically our feelings about it.
Exactly.
Say what's up to all of these new names na never pa natin nakita dito sa comment section. Sobrang dami. Sina Kenneth, Michael, si Earl, what's up, man? Thank you for finally catching us live. Jericho, meron tayong mga returnees, syempre, sina Albert, sina Clark, yan, mga usuals din natin yan. Pero ang dami mga names that we haven't seen.
Much.
Dito sa live stream comments natin. Maraming salamat. Just to probably wrap a bow around this CM Punk conversation. Diba yung joke nga is that hell has frozen over kasi hindi natin inakala na mangyayari to, diba? In our lifetimes na si CM Punk babalik ng WWE pero tulad ng sinasabi nila, this is wrestling, diba? Say what's up to Dwayne of Everybody's Toys and Collectibles.
Hey, Dwayne, what's up, bro?
Yan ang i-message nyo kung gusto nyo ng authentic na CM Punk na t-shirt. Chambala sa inyo. Going back, this is wrestling, diba? Sabi nga nila, never say never. And Ro also warned me behind the scenes na, the people na hindi namin gustong maka-work ngayon, baka in the future, 10, 15 years down the road, baka magkaayos din tayo, diba? So, nangyari kay CM Punk. Sabi niya, diba, hindi siya babalik ng WWE and then cut to Survivor Series, body-body sila ni Triple H sa picture, diba? So, it's an iconic all-time wrestling image. So, CM Punk coming back to WWE restores a little bit of my faith in never say never. Kasi, nangyari, diba? Punk was alive to see it happen. Medyo unfortunate na si Macho Man, diba? Binawian na ng buhay before he could come back to WWE and repair those ties with Vince McMahon. But it's also a very different company, diba? Na yung binalikan ni Punk, si Triple H na yung Chief Creative Officer, diba? You now have the TKO board, yun na yung the ones calling the shots. Nick Khan is now the president of WWE. It's a very different landscape than what he walked out on in 2014. So, tama si Glendale, in the words of Justin Bieber from 2010. Never say never. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the rest of the stuff, yung mga ganap sa WWE on television. All right, but first, a quick word from our other podcasts right here on the Pod Network. All right, let's talk about yung mga ganap sa WWE TV from this week, starting off with Cody Rhodes apparently being Shinsuke Nakamura's target all along. So, ang daming clues ni Nakamura, diba, over the last few weeks. Yung tina-target niya, napaka-cryptic. People were saying na, is that a CM Punk reference? Oh, si Punk ba yun? I mean, bumalik si Punk, pero hindi siya yung pinatutungkulan at pinariringgan ni Nakamura. It's Cody Rhodes. So, apparently, this is Cody's latest side quest before he eventually gets to Roman to finish the story.
I will applaud WWE. They're keeping Cody busy talaga before. Hindi lang yung he is just waiting for WrestleMania. Like they're making him feud with every other superstar on the roster as much as they can. No, at first it was Brock, then naging si Dominic, and then eventually naging Judgment Day, and now it looks like for a time, maybe until Royal Rumble or after that, it's gonna be Nakamura. So, very interesting. This is something that was out of nowhere for me because I thought, yeah, Nakamura was calling out another person. I thought he was calling out Punk, but it was Cody all along, and it's gonna be another wrestler for Cody to go over to triumph before he goes after the tribal chief himself. So very interesting. I'm looking forward to this. This has piqued an interest in me.
Yeah, the Royal Rumble isn't happening for another 2 months.
Yeah.
So Cody will have to be busy until then. And speaking of the Rumble, si Cody rin yung nag-announce na siya ang first entrant for the 2024 Royal Rumble. As early as now, Emile, obviously big deal to, but do you think Cody wins back-to-back?
I think he does. In a way, because I couldn't really think of any other way for him to go back and challenge Roman other than going through the Royal Rumble route. Kasi doon sa other world title, I think kasado na yun eh. Yung the title match on doon sa the other world title, which is Rollins versus Punk. I think for now, yun na yun. So Punk doesn't really need to go through the Rumble. For Cody, the only way I think he could get back to Roman is go through the same thing that he went last year, and the first step to that is to win the Rumble. I think hindi naman makaumay if Cody wins another Rumble kasi people understand the story and people understand naman na Cody is building himself back up to a place where he knows now he can beat Roman. So I'm penciling it now. Cody Rhodes is winning the 2024 Royal Rumble.
I have to finish the story.
Dami sa inyo gusto mag-number 1 si Cody Rhodes. Parang gusto yung patayin yung tao eh.
I mean, to be fair, kasi he was number 30 last year.
Yeah,
so it would be.
You remember Rowe blew a gasket over it.
Yeah. Like, di ba nagalit siya
Najit siya nun eh.
Like Cody's having this hero story pero papasok siya, he's like siya yung may pinaka-advantage kasi siya yung huling pumasok. So I think for them to rectify that, make him go first in the Rumble, make him go through all the way.
Gawin nyo, kung gusto nyo na sobrang underdog si Cody, di ba? I-lockout nyo siya sa dressing room, sa parking lot nyo siya ng NXT pagbihis, di ba? Tapos from there, maglalakad siya papuntang venue ng Royal Rumble. Tapos siya yung number 1, so by then, naupakan na siya ng kung sino-sino, nanginig na siya kasi malamig pa by that time, di ba? Yun pala gusto nyo eh. At ang dami sa inyo na calling for Okada to appear in WWE, na Nakamura is seemingly teasing chaos or whatever. Wala tayong info on this. Wala tayong intel on whether or not Kazuchika Okada will actually make a move. Pero ikaw, Emile, would you like to see this happen?
I mean, it would be interesting, but Okada kasi he's the ace of NJPW, and I think knowing the things that we know about him, I don't think he's the type of person would migrate to US to do something na he's doing good naman in Japan. So very ang vibe sa kanila ni Nakamura, very magkaiba talaga sila. Nakamura is the type of fella na he enjoys the big payday, but with Okada, he's pretty much chill with what he's got right now. So
para kala mo kilala mo si Okada.
Hindi naman, pero yun lang, again, that's the vibe that I'm getting. So
kala ko close kay ni Kazu eh.
I wish.
Mga sabi nga nila, di ba? Never say never.
Never say never.
May mga nire-report sila that yung pitch, apparently, reportedly for Okada is, you've done everything you can in New Japan and WWE is a challenge na hindi mo pa na-overcome. And then, people are also reporting that the current Nakamura push is a way to tell Okada na hindi ka mas-stereotype dito. What happened to you in TNA is not gonna happen here. You'll be treated like the big star that you are.
Nah, but I feel like if he's going Western, it's not in WWE. It's in AEW. Because he has already made appearances there before. He has main evented a pay-per-view there before.
So was CM Punk. So Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill. Look
again,
where they are now.
Never say never, di ba? Yun yung kasabihan natin. Bagong kasabihan natin.
Bagong kasabihan natin, di ba? Parang dati nag-bet ata tayo na si Chino kakain ng Jebs or something kapag may nangyari. Tapos nangyari nga.
No. Come on.
Okay, moving on. Bago tayo masukalat. Let's talk about Randy Orton here. So Randy Orton acknowledged yung issues niya with the bloodline, and then I talked about this in Picks of the Week, but I really loved yung continuity na Jay is still very afraid of Randy Orton, tapos si Orton naman medyo at arm's length sila ni Jey Uso hanggang sa they had that backstage segment where they kept it real with one another, and then they made it clear na basta si Jey Uso di siya makikialam sa bloodline, hindi siya makikialam sa business ni Randy Orton with the bloodline, then they're good. So what do you think about them at least wrapping this storyline up this way?
It's very human. That's what I can say. Kasi it's very human nature na, again, like I said before, we're not anymore in the storytelling mode of even na porket babyface ka, you're already good with all the babyface, you already absolved of all your sins. But here, we actually saw some progress, kasi this has been Jay's story ever since moving to Raw. And he's trying to rectify everything that he has done as part of the bloodline before, and it isn't easy. Now he has to go through hoops for people to get to trust him again, to get his respect. So to get their respect for him. So I like it. I really dig this type of storyline. And this makes us root for Jey Uso even more kasi nakita natin na he's very human. Na he makes mistakes, pero along the way he would realize na what he did was wrong, and he's trying to correct it. He's trying to reach out to people that he has wronged before, and then he's doing everything to gain their trust and to gain their respect. So it's very human. This is something that I loved ever since Triple H took over. Now you could see that wrestlers are also humans. That they have feelings, they have emotions. Na they don't base off of their alignment on how they are treating people.
Mm-hmm. Eto, sabi ni Carlo, kung si Jey Uso kaya daw mag-apologize, bakit daw si Drew McIntyre hindi? Or ba't di niya magawa kay Drew? Jey tried, di ba? Jay's trying, pero si Drew, he doesn't want to hear it. He'd rather kick Jey Uso in the head or have him locked up in a cage, which is why this Jey-Drew feud is actually going on right now.
Again, yun nga, it's very human. Not everyone's gonna react the same way. Not everyone is gonna treat you the same. Hindi porket you're going out to everyone, reaching out, trying to apologize for your behavior in the past. It doesn't mean na yung lahat ng ni-reach outan mo are gonna forgive you. Some are still gonna hold grudges, and that's again very human nature.
Oh, tingnan yung nangyari, di ba? May 16 million na willing to forgive. Tapos merong the rest of us na parang never forget, never again. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, diba? So it's very human nature talaga.
Yeah, and to paint that further into context, there are certain things na it's actually acceptable to not forgive and to not forget. Whereas there are certain things na you kind of have to move on, to move forward. And it depends on ano yung perspective mo, kung sino yung taong naagrabyado, di ba? Like in Drew McIntyre's case, he feels na he's very justified kasi pamilya niya yung nawalan eh. Di ba? Para sa kanya, he was away from his family for 15 years. Tapos ito na yung moment na they all get to celebrate together in Wales. But it didn't happen kasi nakialam yung bloodline. So for him, that's a grave offense na hindi karapat-dapat patawarin.
Yeah, and it's again, it's acceptable kasi he explains his reasoning, and again, as a human, I get what he's saying. So even though he's a heel and he's a wrestling bad guy, in a way, in his mind, he's still the good guy, and what he did or what he's doing is correct and justifiable. So yun na nga, no? So we really don't have to based on alignments anymore. And even though like the concept of heel and face is still very present in wrestling, pero the modern way of telling stories is hindi na siya based talaga dun sa heel and face alignment.
Sana makasagot siya para hindi ka na parang si Piolo Pascual na I deserve an explanation. I deserve an acceptable reason. Okay, let's talk about the Creed brothers because hey, they have arrived. They had their coming out party on Monday Night Raw by winning Tag Team Turmoil. And if you guys have not been watching the Creed brothers or NXT in general, holy crap, you have been missing out kasi sobrang galing nitong dalawang to.
They are so damn good, and actually they remind me of American Alpha when they also when they arrived on the scene. Came out hot right at the gate, right out of the gate, and they showed everybody how good they are. And I'm glad that they're letting the Creeds cook on Raw. They're on TV weekly, and they're going through this. They're going through all the other tag teams, showing how good they are. And again, they're the number one contenders now for the tag team titles. And I also like how there was a backstage segment in Judgment Day afterwards, and Finn kind of put them over by saying, "Oh, these Creeds are no joke. Like we have to prepare for them," and that's a seal of approval. That they have arrived and they're legit.
Yeah. Yung Creed brothers, they're also a testament to yung natural skill and talent and the fact na the WWE Performance Center is really, really good. Like, di ba maraming nagjo-joke sa internet na, napaka-cookie cutter ng WWE developmental system. But you look at the Creed brothers who've only been wrestling for a couple of years. You look at Braun Breaker who only entered the business in 2021. You have a lot of these guys. Tiffany Stratton, sa pa yun, diba? From that 2021 class. They're able to mold athletes from other sports or adjacent sports in the case of the Creed brothers and to mold them into the prototypical WWE superstar of today, which is so good and very well-rounded sila because these guys also know how to be characters. Marunong naman sila magsalita kahit papano. Hindi sila sasabihin mong very stiff and only rely on their shoot abilities. So yeah, I'm really happy na they are able to make a statement this early on. They went through tag team turmoil. May bali-balita na I think DIY was supposed to go further and instead Imperium became the last team that the Creed brothers had to beat. And kung totoo nga yun, I actually don't mind because it's still better if the babyface team overcomes a heel team like Imperium that's so hated, sobrang madupang, very condescending. And then you have the Creed brothers who are able to rise above and nakahugot sila, diba, from wherever they hugot from to pull out the win.
Yeah, and I think this is also why the tag team titles need to be split now. Kasi sobrang daming galing tag teams on both shows. And it would be a shame if they don't have any like plot device or any titles to compete in. Kasi again, tag team wrestling, I love tag team wrestling. It needs to be featured more, and I'm glad that in a way we are getting this tag team renaissance in the main roster with this injection of young and youthful energy with the Creed brothers and the other tag teams as well na pumasok on the main roster over the last year, like Pretty Deadly, Brawling Brutes were also doing their thing, and also in NXT, sobrang dami ding tag teams on NXT na in a few years they're gonna be the ones who are gonna tore the house down on the main roster.
Yeah. People are getting excited for the Creed brothers, especially those like Mac who are seeing them for the first time. And I love it. Now they're on Raw where they actually get to have that platform. Because we've said this on the podcast before, but Raw is the new SmackDown. Like it is the show where people go to cook and they cook really, really well over on that show. So I love it. Any other thoughts on the Creed brothers or from Raw that you want to get into, Emile?
You know, nakasabay yung Creed sa mga backstage segments eh. Like, they've been
yung Ruffle segment, di ba?
Yeah, they've been hanging out with yung Alpha Academy and meron sila eh. May character, may sobrang kaya din nilang makipagsabayan on that end. That's why they are in a way a complete package talaga.
Yeah, meron silang charisma, as they like to say. Okay, before we cross over and talk about AEW, I just want to say hi again to yung mga new listeners natin or yung mga new commenters. If you haven't followed the show yet, please do give us a follow on Spotify and do like this Facebook page as well or the YouTube channel wherever you're watching us. Sobrang laking bagay nun for us, and it lets you know every time we're live on a Thursday like this to just break down yung wrestling that we watch on TV. So Thursdays at 7 p.m. If this is the first time you're catching us, thank you for finding us, and I hope you keep coming back to join us on the live streams. We'll take a break. When we come back, we will pull an Adam Copeland and talk about AEW. All right, but first, a quick message from our other podcasts on the Pod Network. All right, before we get to the AEW talk, I just want to mention na people in the comments are having fun with Akira Tozawa and the Ruffle Shuffle and all of that. And I get it. Yung ginagawa ni Tozawa, nakakatawa siya. Right? And he's been a character for basically his entire run on the main roster. Pero guys, di natin pwedeng bastusin yung ginagawa niya because he actually makes real money with those Ruffles branded content segments.
Hey, it's money,
like
right?
may TF sila na nakukuha from the client, in which case it is lace or Ruffles. So, no disrespect, man. Get that bag. And the best part is Tozawa can get his sponsorship money without even taking a bump in the ring.
Get that bag, Tozawa.
Tanong daw, Ruffle Shuffle or the Nana dance?
That's tough. I still go with the Nana. Mas madali gawin yun eh. For me.
Madali kayong Ruffle Shuffle, di ba? Ganyan lang Ruffle Shuffle eh.
Hindi ko pa ito timing eh. Papracticing ko yun. Then I'll post something on TikTok.
Yung Nana dance mas mahirap eh. Kailangan coordinate mo talaga eh. Di ba? Si Prince Nana kanina, nagnana siya, nakasaklay pa eh. Tawa-tawa eh. Kasi naalala niya, nga pala, bawal ko samahan si Swerve. So, nandun siya sa stage, nakasaklay, tapos nagnanana.
Nandun siya sa stage lang.
Kagago eh. Alright, let's talk about stuff from Dynamite earlier. First, they made that huge announcement na yung retirement match ni Sting gaganapin sa Greensboro, North Carolina. So that will be the site for AEW Revolution. May pecha na rin, March 3, 2024. So, very meaningful daw sa careers ni na Sting and Ric Flair yung Greensboro, North Carolina because that's where Jim Crockett Promotions, yung predecessor ng WCW, they would hold events like Starrcade noong 1980s. And then sina Sting and Ric Flair were a huge part of those cards, diba? They also had that NWA World's Heavyweight Championship match that Sting beat Ric Flair for by disqualification on March 7, 1988. So, 36 years after that infamous match, or after that famous match, that's where Sting will retire.
This makes me think that Sting is going to main event. Because they're really going all out in his retirement match. And I was thinking about this earlier. They alluded to a winning streak that di ko alam na may winning streak pala si Sting on AEW na hindi pa siya natatalo. So,
yeah. Syempre, kasama si Darby eh.
Yeah. So, I think maybe we're gonna have an AEW World Title match with Sting, and
okay.
Baka lang kasi they're really going all out with his retirement. Like hindi lang siya part of the spectacle. Instead, it is the spectacle. His retirement match is the spectacle for the Revolution pay-per-view. So I think they're gonna build around that and have a main event and maybe a World Title match.
Okay, that prediction for me is like an RKO. It came out of nowhere. I don't know. I don't see Sting in the World Heavyweight Championship picture ng AEW, especially given that MJF is still in the middle of finding out who the devil is. Diba? Yeah, that thing with Samoa Joe. Adam Cole is still also trying to finish his story despite being on the injured list. So I don't know. I think though it could make sense to have Sting main event. Diba? Retirement match na rin lang, diba? I think that in and of itself is enough reason para mag-main event. And as Earl points out in the comments, ito nga yung prevailing rumor ngayon na it's gonna be Sting versus Darby Allin. Ikaw ba, Emile, who do you want to see in that retirement match against Sting?
I mean, aside from what I said earlier, that I think it may be a world title match, Darby. Darby is the obvious choice talaga. Even though I'm not sure kasi I think Darby is planning to climb Mount Everest next year. So I don't know if he's still around come Revolution, but if he still is around Revolution, say AEW, I would want that. Sting versus Darby. No, not Ric Flair, Glendale. No, we don't. We don't need Ric Flair wrestling in wrestling ever again, man. We don't need.
Let the man rest and let the man retire.
Yeah. Yeah,
All right.
No,
My updates tayo on MJF that came out over the week. One of them is that he is actually an executive producer on the Iron Claw movie that A24 is releasing kasi consultant siya and he was able to give input. So that's pretty cool. But Emile, you also found an update na MJF has been working with a torn labrum pero cleared siya and he can wrestle until World's End for the AEW World Championship. So
yeah, that's the
gonna
report.
drop the title to Joe here because of that injury.
Yun yung hindi pa natin alam kasi again, the reports have suggested na he's working through an injury. Nakalagay actually doon the same injury that he went through 3 years ago. He didn't really miss time. So I'm very iffy with wrestlers working through injuries kasi I think Ro has already alluded to it previously na it's something na hindi dapat, like if wrestlers are injured, they should take time off, they should rest. So maybe he could last until and then go get some time off or something so that he can come back at 100%. So but again, nasa middle of a story kasi sila. So I also don't blame MJF much for still being active, still competing on AEW TV up until such a point siguro where they can have a conclusion to this story and he can take some time off afterwards. So I hope the best for MJF and I hope na he doesn't aggravate his injury any further and he can at least finish this story kasi nahirapan na nga sila because Cole is he can barely walk and in his appearances he has talagang obvious na pinipilit talaga nila to go forward with the story kasi it also involves Adam Cole.
Right. Yung torn labrum ni MJF, that's an injury that Sheamus once had. So nasa shoulder yun. So ang report is that he suffered that torn labrum during the match against Jay White at Full Gear during one of the spots where I think MJF was dropped on his shoulder or something. So ayun, sorry about that. I'm not exactly sure how they plan to work around that injury. But maybe this is the universe's way of saying that maybe it's time for Max to drop the AEW World Championship. But we'll see what happens from there. In the meantime, in the ring, MJF told another origin story. So parang gimmick niya na to with this promos na he'll be telling us whatever personal connection he has with the person he's feuding with, whether that was CM Punk or sino pa ba? Sina Bryan Danielson, Chris Jericho, Adam Cole, in this case Samoa Joe. Like, okay, but this time, nilagyan niya ng babyface spin, diba? He put Joe over, ginastify niya why he was a threat, why Joe changed the game, why Joe has his legacy. And for some reason, Samoa Joe seemed to respect MJF because when the Devil's Henchman appeared, Joe came out to save MJF. So that was odd kasi Joe has been portrayed as such a opportunistic heel, diba, over the last few months. So if he's MJF's number one contender, maybe he should want for MJF to be beaten down or baka natatakot siya na pag na-injure tong si MJF, hindi matutuloy tong championship match ko. Ang very odd lang na nangyari afterward is the Devil challenged MJF and Samoa Joe and si MJF yung sumagot for the two of them. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting how things went down on Dynamite earlier. I think Joe is turning face. I really do think so. He's turning baby face here.
But why?
Kasi he's been acting a little bit baby, even though he's still he's still Samoa Joe, still a monster.
Oh nga, but why? They have a lot of heels on the roster, so why turn Joe face?
I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe that's something Joe wants to do. So in terms of the decision, this makes me think na MJF is in cahoots with the Devil actually. we never know. Kasi this is something that I've seen in wrestling before na, kunwari magkalaban sila to pull someone in to make someone think na okay, we're friends, we're good, we have respect for each other. But it reminds me of the this is a far-fetched reference. It reminds me of the Vince McMahon High of Power story. Na initially Vince was against the Shane and all the people who were nahawak nung higher power. And turns out he was the higher power himself. So sobrang malabo pa talaga tong Devi storyline na to. Like, I thought it was gonna be this guy, and then another week has passed by, then nag-iba na naman yung prediction ko as who the devil is. So they really need to wrap up this story then. Kasi again, wrestlers are also getting injured left and right. So they need to wrap this up before maubusan pa sila ng tao to finish this story.
Yeah, si Sean Rossap tweeted out kanina na yung attack on MJF by the henchmen, to him, rules MJF out as the devil. So it's fascinating to me na ang reaction mo, Emile, is no, you know what? Maybe MJF really is the devil. So
maybe, diba?
I hate na we didn't get the reveal nung Full Gear. I feel like
they should have.
I feel like we're kind of extending this beyond the period that we needed to go. So yun, medyo sayang lang yun. But it is what it is, and we are where we are. All right. We also got more matches from the Continental Classic over the last week. So ito nasa screen nyo ngayon. Those are the current standings. John Moxley and Swerve Strickland both in the lead with 6 points sa Gold League, and then sa Blue League yung may points pa lang sina Brody King and Claudio Castagnoli. And si Brian hasn't competed yet, but he will be making his Continental Classic debut this Sunday Manila time on Collision. So after 3 episodes of AEW programming na may napapanood na tayong Continental Classic matches, ano yung impression mo on the tournament?
Okay, so this is something that I want to bring up actually. So the matches are great. I mean, with the pool of wrestlers na kasali dito sa Continental Classic, like you could expect some really good in-ring product. And so far, sobrang ganda ng mga matches. Like Moxie versus Briscoe last week was good. Then Swerve versus Jay White this week was another great one. And hindi lang sa NGPW kasi when they do the G1 Classic, there's always yung mga filler matches. But this one, sobrang walang tapon so far. Like, everyone has brought their A game. Everyone has brought their best against each other. And it shows. It shows with the matches. The only problem I have with this, in the Continental Classic, is how AEW is presenting it. I feel like they could add a bit more presentation to it. Even though I like na they have the graphics, and every other match, the commentary team will always explain the rules. Para alam din ng tao na what is going on is a match for the Continental Classic. Pero may kulang pa sa akin yun because I'm gonna give the audience, or maybe not everyone will get this, but I'll give you an example, right? So this season, the NBA is starting this concept called the in-season tournament, right? Pero ano pa rin siya, it's kasali pa rin siya sa regular season. However, I will give them props kasi they went extra mile to make their in-season tournament feel special by having special courts, yung mga special jerseys. So when you are watching the games from the in-season tournament, you know that what you're watching is a game from the in-season tournament. So ito lang this is a one wish that na I have that AEW could do if they're gonna do a Continental Classic again next time. Have special robes, yung mga the special decorations around the ring. So just make the Continental Classic matches look distinct from your regular Dynamite or regular Rampage matches. I don't know if you agree with me on this time, but after 2 weeks, yun yung nafe-feel ko with the Continental Classic. Just a bit more presentation will really add to this.
What do you want though? Na may special ring apron sila for Continental Classic matches, or do you want these guys to be wearing blue jerseys or gold jerseys?
Di naman yung attire, but
how do you make it different presentation wise though?
No, have different have a graphics for different graphics for the Continental Classic. Instead yung nakalagay lang dun sa arena is Dynamite or Rampage or Collision. So just to make it look distinct. Yun lang naman. Kasi if I'm a casual viewer and I'm like I randomly just put on like AEW TV and they're having a Continental Classic match, hindi ko malalaman na Continental Classic match pala yun if I just see it. I just see the in-ring action happening kasi they don't have any special graphics, they don't have any special decorations to indicate that what you're seeing is a match from this special tournament, this Continental Classic. That's why I had the in-season tournament example na, they're making it look distinct from your normal regular season games.
Yeah, no, that's actually a great point. I read yung interview ni Adam Silver, the commissioner of the NBA, where yung justification nga nila for the very wild and loud courts ng in-season tournament is so when you're watching it on TV, you know right away na in-season tournament game siya. So I get it. In the day and age of yung mga graphics on the ribbon and the apron, the barricades, the guardrail, diba? Lahat yan, yung ring post, lahat yan, pwede mong gawa ng graphic. I think it could be easier. So, I don't know, Emile, close ka kay Kazuchika Okada, baka close ka rin kay Tony Khan. So, baka pwede mong dalhin sa kanila for advisement.
Di naman. Like, I think naman some people are gonna bring that up to him eventually. Na, we just need a little bit spice to it for the people to get excited for this episode kasi there's a Continental Classic match to it. So with the G1 kasi like I explained last week or a week ago, with the G1 yun nangyari, talagang G1 lang yun. Walang other extra stuff. With this one, it's a Continental Classic is a special tournament within the scope of AEW storylines. So yun
yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
I get it. So the idea is to make it more distinct so that if you don't follow AEW programming regularly and you see these guys who are part of the tournament mixing it up in the ring, nah, it's a match that's part of that tournament. So yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, let us know what you think about the Continental Classic so far. To me, it's been largely fun. Medyo weird lang kasi there are some guys who are obviously there to take the L, which is, as Ro pointed out last week, medyo counterproductive when the idea nga is to put all the top stars together. But that's a moot point at this juncture. Now we're already several days into the tournament. But let us know your thoughts. You can follow us on social media. It is at Wrestling2XPod on Twitter and on TikTok. That's where we love to chat with you about any and all things wrestling. You can also hit us up on Facebook.com/Wrestling Podcast. To Instagram, same. It is at Wrestling Podcast. And then on Spotify, it's the Wrestling Podcast. Please follow us there and leave us a 5-star rating after you listen to an episode. And speaking of the Spotify episodes, Picks of the Week eps go up Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when we can record them. And meron pa tayong bonus episode that will appear on Saturday. Ito naman, if you're catching this just now, you can catch the recap later on when this live video has been processed on Facebook, or you can wait for the audio-only episode on Spotify sometime tomorrow. All right, Emile, may plugs ka ba as we make our way out of here?
Wala namang plugs. Just follow me on all my socials. And if kung hindi pa kayo nakabili ng ticket for MWF Noche Buena, may limited walk-in pa. So me, Rowan, are going to be watching there, and it's going to be I think the biggest show of the year for MWF. So pinopromote ko na din, even though I'm not part of it, kasi it's really we're excited for it. All of us are excited for it. So we will see you on Sunday.
Yeah. Hope to see you on Sunday, Noche Buena. It will be 4 or 4:30 p.m. sa Power Max Center Spotlight at Circuit Makati. As Emile mentioned, walk-in tickets na lang for the show. I'm not sure how much they are. I think it's like 1,000 pesos now for the walk-in tickets. It should be fun because Oro Plata Mata is main eventing. Shout out to the guy who ran into me at the PBA games in Araneta a couple of weeks ago, where he actually made a point to tell me, yes, gusto ko kayo yung Oro, Plata, Mata.
Wow, that's great. That's awesome.
So he did it like right then and there, and then kinamusta niya sina JDL at sina David Revena, and I was like, yes, they'll be at Noche Buena. and so Yun lang, I couldn't
That's
talk to him
awesome.
for much longer because I had work to do, diba? Speaking of the PBA, please do catch the games if you happen to be in the area or kung trip nyo manood ng local basketball. I'll be at the Phil Sports Arena tomorrow hosting the game experience stuff, yung mga timeouts, yung mga games, activities for tomorrow's games. They start at 4 p.m. Then yung second game is at 8 p.m. For everything else that we do, go check us out on social media. It is at Emile_Meister, at Monday Night Rowan, at Rowas War, at Chino Supersize, and for me, it is at _StanC. If you happen to have a VPN and can access the WWE Network and listen to Tagalog commentary, please do check it out. If you don't, I have no idea kasi we've been trying to get Disney Plus to activate yung Tagalog commentary, so maybe you can
Or
check out yung
sa Patreon. Sa Patreon natin. If you want to watch
on
Tagalog
Patreon.
commentary,
Yeah. But you can probably check out how we sound on the CM Punk return video, which WWE posted on their social media. So go check that out as well. Right? Thank you very much to everybody who joined us on the live stream. Thank you na rin kay CM Punk dahil sa'yo, ang dami natin pinag-usapan. Ang daming gustong makimarites. So thank you na rin, CM Punk. And thank you to everybody who joined us. Thank you to Babyface producer Jasper for being at the controls behind the scenes, and everyone else over at the Pod Network for all of the help that they give us for us to keep doing what we do. All right. This has been another episode of the Wrestling Podcast in the books. On behalf of Emile Nate, my name is Stan C, saying stay safe, stay healthy, and don't be a dick. Wrestling Podcast out. Later, weirdos.
Peace.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion,